And thank you. My name is Kestrel Michaud. I'm a classically trained fine artist and illustrator, and I've been making fabric pictures for 16 years. This photo was taken in 2017 at a gallery show opening. It was at this reception where I met Ellen Lintner, who was Florida's state rep for SAQA at the time. She realized my artwork, the two pictures hanging behind me in this photo, were made from fabric and invited me to attend the local pod meeting the following month. That's how I found out about SAQA and art quilting. Next. Steampunk Selfie is currently touring with Aloft. It's 36 inches by 24 inches and almost 1,300 pieces of fused applique fabric stitched in raw edge style. I knew I wanted to make a picture that used fisheye lens perspective because I thought the warping would be fun. I combined that idea with my passion for steampunk and came up with a girl taking a selfie while bungee jumping from a steam-powered airship. Next. Sticking with the steampunk theme, Rose and Jason are two steampunk characters of my own design. Each quilt is 26 inches by 52 inches. Rose is about 2,700 pieces of fused applique fabric, and Jason is just under 2,000. These two are quartermaster and captain of the airship, which Faith is bungee jumping from in Steampunk Selfie, the picture you just saw. Next. Brewing Friendship is 40 inches square and made up of 1,200 pieces of fused applique fabric. This is the second official quilt I made back in 2018. It hung at 2 quilt shows and 1 fine art exhibition, won an award at each show, and was purchased while on display at the IQF last year. Next. In addition to compositions entirely of my own creation, I enjoy making fan art. Link is the 3rd official quilt I made. He's 26 by 52 inches and made from nearly 1,500 pieces of fused applique fabric. He's the main character from the Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild video game, but his depiction in this quilt is entirely my own design. I keep specifying official quilt because I made fused applique fabric pictures for 13 years before learning about art quilting. My fabric pictures were fused to muslin, wrapped on foam core, and framed. Today, I'm still using the same core process to make my quilts as I used to make those fabric pictures. I've just started sewing them too. Next. Each picture or quilt is essentially an applique by number I designed for myself. Step 1 is to draw a template. I use an app called Concepts on my iPad to do the initial drawing, then export it to Adobe Illustrator on my laptop to add color and finalize the design. On the left is my digital drawing in Concepts. In the middle is the full color drawing, what I call a template, in Adobe Illustrator. The squares on the right are all the colors used in the template, each of which will be one fabric used in the finished quilt. Next. I print those little squares on tickets to use as reference when picking fabric. Both the color and the value have to match, as shown in the 2 photos on the left. Those are the fabrics used in the background behind Link. Areas showing skin are a bit different. I drew Link's face and fingers on my iPad in an app called Procreate and had them printed on fabric through Spoonflower. The top right photo is my drawing in Procreate. The bottom right photo shows the printed portraits. I tried a few different color adjustments because I wasn't sure which would end up looking the best after printing. Next. I use a Cricut Explore Air 2 to cut my fabric, and I treat it with diluted Mod Podge to prevent fraying. The left photo is my cutting setup, and the right photo is what pieces of fabric look like after being cut. Next. To assemble my pictures, I print a full-size template and lay that under a clear Teflon sheet. All the fabric pieces are backed with Wonder Under Fusible, so I line the pieces up according to the template and iron them together. Next. The last thing I do is sew the quilt. I have a Bernina 790 Plus machine and use 100-weight polyester thread like Invisifil almost exclusively. My sewing table is the Tasmanian 2 by Kangaroo Cabinets, which has plenty of room for my fuzzy boys underneath. For storage, I use several Elfa freestanding units on casters like the one on the left in this picture. The quilt in progress is Beauty Queen, which is now finished, and I have a complete photo to show in just a moment. Next. This is my sewing studio. What you're not seeing is the front door to our house, which I had to lean against to take this picture. It's good incentive to keep my space relatively clean and tidy. Next. And here's Beauty Queen. She's 48 inches by 36 inches and about 2,300 pieces of applique fabric. She was my quarantine quilt project. I wasn't working my regular job, so instead I spent 40 hours a week making her and finished her in just under a month this past June. Although the butterflies and alligator are both real, The steampunk butterfly on her back was included as my way of saying, yes, alligators and butterflies both exist in the world of my steampunk quilts.